This has been a video that's been a long time coming. Basically, me explaining myself about a couple of things, but also first, I just want to say thank you. If you're watching this and you're subbed to my channel and you comment and you like and all that stuff, I mean, whatever you do, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching this. There's going to be some interesting, I don't know, maybe a little bit of insight into what I do and why I do what I do, maybe a little bit. But yeah, thank you for subbing. I mean, there's been so many people that have subbed in the last couple of months. I'm guessing due to some of my recent, bigger profile movies, I guess, that have just come out. I appreciate that. We're currently at 3,146, which is about, I don't know, 3,000 more than I ever expected on this channel, especially for the reason why I created this channel, and that was to promote the movie I worked on, Adventures in Game Chasing, which I have to say, it is available on iTunes or Apple. It is available on Amazon, and it's available to stream on Tubi. So if you're interested in that, you can go check it out. You can see the movie that I worked on, helped with. But yeah, that's why I created this channel, was to help promote that movie and also to just do reviews of things that I was interested in and show off things that I like, books and movies and whatever. I also want to let you know that, just in case you weren't aware, or maybe you've seen it and you just don't care, which is fine. But for those of you who aren't aware, I do a live stream every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. Pretty much, in general, that's the time. But yeah, and it's just a chance for me to talk to you guys, and they're really fun. And we've got a great group of people that come in there, and we chat about movies, about books, about streaming shows, about whatever's going on. We try to keep things positive, and that's fun. It's just a fun time. So if you're into it, I mean, maybe just pop into one, and you don't have to chat. Just watch it a little bit, see what you think, because I think they're a ton of fun. But also, I do shorts, and the shorts are on my Blu-ray collection. You see this one, but most of the time you don't see the other tons and tons of Blu-rays and movies that I've owned over the years. And I do little shorts where I get them out of the box. I talk about them a little bit, and then I put them on the shelf. And it's a fun little thing. And if you're interested in that, hey, there's that too. So, if there's a slow period and I'm not doing any reviews, there's probably some shorts that you could watch. But hey, that's all there if you're interested. There are two segments of videos that have really kind of, I feel like in a way, have overshadowed the reason that I created the channel in the first place. But I want to talk about those things today. So if you will, just bear with me. And there will be chapters too, if you want to skip around. If you're like, I don't care about fan edits, I want to hear about this. You can do that. You can do that in the little chapters. But anyway, let's start off with fan edits. For those of you who may not be aware, a fan edit is basically someone who takes a movie and cuts it up to their liking. They might take out scenes that they don't like. They might put deleted scenes if they're available. They might put deleted scenes into the movie so they can watch it in a different way. And when I started doing fan edit reviews, they really served a dual purpose. First, it was basically because I love Tolkien, right? I mean, look, I'm a fan of Tolkien, but I hate the Hobbit movies. I just don't like them. I don't like the way that they're put together. The first one was pretty good, but then the last two were, as Bilbo explains it in The Lord of the Rings, like butter scraped over too much bread. Basically, that's what those were. They were stretched out. I didn't care for them. So Fan Edit I thought, hey, look at this fan edit stuff. Maybe there's a fan edit of The Hobbit that makes it a better experience. So that's where I started. And the second thing, which is something that I was hoping that never really came around, I was hoping that it would be a cool vehicle to talk about film in general and the way that things are put together, the things that we like and we don't like, the things that work, that don't work. That's not really what ever happened. But that was my thinking, my thought process. I was like, I can introduce maybe some people to fan edits and maybe where to find them. And by the way, if you want to know where a fan edit is, all you have to do is look for the creator and the subject, whether it's, you know, like, for example, HAL 9000 did some amazing Star Wars fan edits. Okay. So if you say HAL 9000 prequel, you put in that into your search engine, and you're probably going to find the Reddit thread where he lists everything out, explains everything, and gives you links to where his stuff is. So Google is your friend, or DuckDuckGo, or, you know, smarmyfarts.org, whatever search engine you want to use. That's a weird one. But yeah, you just, yeah, do your searching, because that's where you're going to find them. Because if I put a link to it, number one, that's not legal. Number two, it may not be a situation where maybe they move their stuff. So always look on Google or your search engine of choice first. The coolest thing that when I started that was that no one was really talking about fan edits. I didn't see a single fan edit review. I saw trailers and things like that, but no one was talking about why this fan edit worked or why this one didn't work. And I thought, oh man, this is going to be a really cool thing, something that I can do long term, a series of videos that could be really fun. Over time, though, I realized that fan edits are very subjective, and they're subjective to that editor, right? So one person might say, I like this scene, I don't like this scene, or whatever, and then another person comes along and swaps those, you know, takes out the scene that the other guy liked and put in this other one, and it just becomes very subjective, and film itself is subjective. So it's kind of one of those things where it's, especially when it's just taking a scene out or putting a scene in, that's what a lot of fan edits are. I mean, let's just be honest. That's, yeah, it ends up being like, I don't know what to talk about here on this video. So it's very, very rare to see a fan edit that actually does something that's almost like a new thing or a significant change to what you saw originally. The two that pop in my head are, there's a Heavy Metal Star Wars, which I thought was ingenious, and it made that original Star Wars movie into a new experience. And I think they did it for the other films too. But look, I thought that was great, and I really enjoyed that one. Another one was Joe Willens did a review or a fan edit of Prometheus and Alien Covenant together and made it into a new story, and he called it Paradise. And it was more about David and his story, if you know those movies, and it made it into a new experience, and it felt like a new thing, and it changed the way that I looked at the original movies. So that was a really, really cool one. But again, those are very, very rare. Forget about the fact that film is subjective, and what I like, you may not like, and vice versa. The fan edits sort of tend to be this place where new editors are kind of sharpening their skills. And why would I want to come in and be critical of that and say, oh, this fan edit sucks, or this, you know, I feel like I can't win, you know, because when I'm being critical of someone who's really kind of new to editing in general, I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to stifle anyone's creativity. The feedback that I got from fan edits were, you know, of course, oh yeah, I really like this, or I really like this one. But it was like I said, a lot of, where can I find this? And then other ones were like, oh, I like this fan edit better. And it was like, from my perspective, it felt like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the point of doing this? It almost became a promotional sort of thing for the edit itself or the fan editor, right? And when someone sends one of those in, I tend to try not to be very I don't know. I don't want to promise anything, because what if I watch it and I don't like it? You know, what am I going to do? Am I going to do a review just totally crapping on this guy? No, I don't want to do that. So to wrap up, what I'm trying to say is, film is subjective. Everybody, you know, we all like different movies, right? I like different movies than you do, vice versa, right? So when you start there, and then you start to take things out and put things in, and so even the fan edits are subjective, and they're mostly just iterations on the original idea and not presenting anything that's at least substantially new. Where does that leave me? And that's where I am. I've watched many fan edits that I've never reviewed, And it's simply because, like I said, I get to the end of it and I go, I don't know what to say about this. You know, it's kind of like doing a review that of a movie that is perfect. Like, what do you say? Oh, this was perfect. Okay, the end. Credits roll. You know, what do you do? So yeah, that's where I am on fan edits. I'm going to do them very, very sparingly. I'm going to seek them out myself. You can feel free to send them to me, but like I said, I'm going to seek out the ones that I'm interested in, and I think that's what you should do. You should do too. If you're a fan of movies and you're a fan of seeing what others might do to make things better or whatever, or just different, do that. Seek them out yourself. I mean, I think that's the key here. So that doesn't mean that I'll never do another review. It just means that it won't be a regular thing like it was, well, in the heyday of fan edits on this channel. You get what I'm saying. Now we come to the big one, and I feel like I might actually lose some subscribers from this one. But look, it's got to be said. I think if you've been watching this channel, you know exactly where it started for me. The Indian film love that I got, and this interest. It all came from RRR, and sitting there and going, wow, this is like a whole new genre of film that I didn't even really pay any attention to. I didn't have a lot of, I mean, nobody was talking about it. Nobody was telling me about it. So it felt like this. I mean, even though a lot of people in the film, YouTube, whatever, everybody was talking about RRR. It was just a really exciting time because it was like, wow, this is so new. This is so cool. The views were amazing, right? On my video. From a YouTube channel standpoint, it was like, hey, this could actually be good for my channel. It could make it grow and all that stuff. So why stop? Why stop doing it? Well, I started watching and reviewing as many as I had access to. And it was really kind of fun getting to talk to a whole new group of people, you know? But the one that changed everything was the video that just basically smashed every record on my channel, and that was for Kantara. I saw this movie opening weekend, right? And I did a review, and it's like I said, it smashed every record that I had on my channel. It's the most views I've ever had on any video. I think it's at 137,000, I think, at this point. That's crazy. That's a lot of, for a channel my size. 137,000 views is ridiculous. And I don't know if I'll ever break the record again. I don't know if it's even possible. But I reviewed the movie as I would any other movie, right? I'm watching it just as a person sitting down watching this thing, and there were things that went over my head. You know, there were elements of the story, elements of everything that went over my head, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm not Indian. So yeah, there are things that I'm just not going to understand. So many though, so many comments where if I was critical about anything, people would tell me that I was wrong. That, in fact, there was one comment in particular that that just it stuck in my head the whole time, and it said, and it's stuck with me since then. Basically said, you shouldn't do a review for a movie if you don't do any research first. And I'm like, I know, I mean, look, I know that probably seems unfair. I think most people would go, that's not right. That's not right at all. But it got me thinking. And it was like, okay, so am I supposed to know everything about a particular country, or in this case, a particular region of a country, before I do any review for a movie from that part of the country? I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think that when you do a review for a movie, you should be a blank slate. And the movie is supposed to bring you in to this world. And that's one of the things that I don't think, look, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I am, though. I don't think Kantara did enough to bring an outsider into this way of life. And that's why I felt disconnected from the story. That's simple as that. But yeah, there's just no way. There's no way that I could learn about an entire region's belief system or their way of life without growing up there, you know, themselves. And you might say, well, then why would you even talk about it? Because I never looked at movies that way. I've never looked at movies as this is a statement about my particular area, which again is that cultural divide between India and here. Here it's, like, honestly, I don't think anybody from Ohio is going to get mad if I review a movie that's based in Ohio and I say I don't like it, but it's different. It's different in India, and there's a competition going on there. And it's just not something that I was ever aware of. So how was I supposed to know? So I started to really pay attention to what the target audience for these movies were. And it's spoiler alert, but it's not a white guy from Texas. It's just, yeah, that's what it is. So I found that a lot of movies from India, they kind of held me at arm's length. And I wasn't brought into the world. There were some that are just phenomenal. And I've reviewed a lot of those on my channel. But some of them, like I said, were made specifically for these people in this region. And there you go. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I don't know if I should review those. But that feeling of being sort of like an unwanted spectator, it just kind of started to grow on me, and not in a good way. It made me go, okay, do I need to review this movie? Can I review this movie? Am I gonna make a lot of people mad if I'm critical of this movie? So yeah, there's been many movies that I've watched, many Indian films that I've watched that I have never reviewed, just simply because, number one, they didn't really appeal to me, or number two, I don't know what to say about it because I'm not from that area. So how am I supposed to judge that and be critical of something that I don't understand? So it's basically, in a weird way, all of the views and everything kind of welcomed. It felt like I was being welcomed into this group, but then at the same time, I felt this being pushed away. So it was a strange feeling for me. And then you pair that with the fact that so many movies that you guys, people, so many comments, and I was keeping track of every recommendation that came in. I was keeping track. I think it's something like 400 and something movies on there. And I was keeping track of how many people recommended this movie or whatever. And I was trying to watch the most recommended films. But here's the thing. So many of them are not available here in the States. And if they are, they're behind some crazy paywall that I'm frankly not willing to pay. I'm not going to pay 20 something dollars to watch a movie that I've never seen in the hopes that I might review it for the channel. I just, it doesn't make any sense. It's not like I make a ton of money on this channel. So that just wasn't in the cards. So it got really, really frustrating. I even tried sailing the seven seas on the internet, if you know what I mean. And even then, no alternate audio, no subtitles. It just, like I said, it got really, really frustrating. But the thing is this channel, it never really was about views or money or anything like that. It was literally about showing people the things that I'm into and the things that I'm watching or reading, and I want to talk about that stuff. Share the things that I'm loving with you. And like I said, this took away a lot of the fun of it because it was like I said, you're not from here, so how could you know? You can't even find it. You're gonna have to pay a lot of money to watch it. It was like, okay, well then I guess I'm out. Now look, there are some channels out there that they play to the certain crowd. And I'm talking in general here, not just for Indian films. There are channels that do that, and they play to a certain person or type of person, I guess. And it just, they see their views snowball and their subs snowball. Here's the thing. I don't care about that. I'm not in good conscience going to, bow down to any sort of subset of people, because that's not what I got into this for, so it's not true to who I am. So like fan edits, I'm going to be it's not going to be an everyday thing. I mean, it hasn't been for a long time, and I think most people already know that by now, but I'm basically going to watch them on my own. And if one pipes up that that I want to talk about, then I'll do that. But I'm not going to seek them out at the same fervor that I was at the beginning. And really, that fervor was just excitement. Like I said, it really, the views were crazy, but I didn't care. I was more about, man, I got to see this movie that, man, I otherwise wouldn't have seen. This was amazing. And so I've been watching a lot of movies from a lot of different countries. I watched one from Russia. I watched recently. I watched, of course, I've watched a bunch of German movies. I've watched a ton of martial arts movies. So yeah, I like watching foreign films in general because let's be honest. Sometimes in the U.S. things get a little stale, right? You want something new, a fresh perspective. And so yeah, that's what I try to do. And so if you don't want to be subbed to my channel because of that, I mean, hey, feel free. Click that unsub and no hard feelings. But that's what this channel is going to be, and it's going to continue to be, and it's just the way it is. So yeah, there you go. Now, of course, if you've watched this far, there are the whole thing, right? The sub, like, comment, all that kind of stuff, right? All of that stuff helps, but the comments are my favorite, and not just because they help the algorithm. It's because I get to talk to you, and we get to have a little conversation. I think that's fun. So if you've got anything that you want to tell me, or some things that maybe you want to yell at me, I don't know. I mean, just whatever. Just leave it in the comment section. We'll talk. It's fun. It's a fun thing. This is a two-way street. I mean, it's mostly one way, me to you, but it's fun. It's fun. So anyway, there you go. If you got anything to say, let me know about this video. Any suggestions or whatever, they're welcome. So we'll talk and stuff. Okay, I've said enough. You guys have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next one.